Professor Laverty, at the University of Zurich there seems to be a female fascination with veterinary science. In fact, some 90% of the students at the Vet Swiss faculty are female. How does this compare to your experience at the University of Montreal, where you are a professor, and in Ireland, where you studied yourself?
I would say this is a worldwide phenomenon. I think, and it's not exclusive to veterinary medicine. The University of Montreal, it's predominantly women, but also in the medical faculty and the dental faculty and law faculties. The only areas where women don't seem to be as advanced or perhaps as interested is in the engineering disciplines and in my own field, orthopedic surgery.
You are an equine surgeon, but you also lead a multidisciplinary group that researches osteoarthritis in humans and animals. How did your career take this direction?
That was a group funded by the Canadian government. They call them National Centres of Excellence, a 12-year funding cycle with $4 million a year. And the goal was to create a multidisciplinary group. And so within that group we had engineers, orthopedic surgeons, basic scientists, and I was the first veterinarian invited to be part of that group. And actually I was a founding member with that team. Actually this group is now, the Canadian Arthritis Network became a role model worldwide for multidisciplinary research. It was a huge success.
What can we learn from joint diseases in animals for treating osteoarthritis in humans?
Our joints are very similar, and horses suffer from a post-traumatic repetitive osteoarthritis that is actually a problem in athletes, ballerinas, etc. So many of the drugs that we use in humans are also used in horses. For example, corticosteroids. In fact, one drug, hyaluronic acid, that was actually studied here at the University of Zurich by Professor R many years ago, was employed to treat horse joint disease at least 20 years before it was discovered for human joint disease.
Professor Townsend, your research work sometimes involves cooperation with the international auto industry. How do you maintain your independence as a researcher?
When you're doing research, you're studying phenomena that are observable in the environment. So it's not only that you're able to observe it, but you really want to be able to dig down deeper and understand what's happening and why things are happening. And one of the ways to be able to do that well is to collaborate with industry, which is essentially our research subjects, both managers, workers, executives, organizations as a whole. The trick really becomes not somehow competing with them, but understanding that this is really about an opportunity to create new knowledge that benefits everyone. Well, the cars in Switzerland, in Zurich especially, are just amazing. I'm walking down the street and a Ferrari blows past, and the next thing you know, oh, there's a Lamborghini, and Bentleys and BMWs and Mercedes are just everywhere. So I find that to be sort of a fun day of, some people do people watching, which I do some of that too, but I also get an opportunity to do car watching here, which is really cool.
Two of your research priorities are brand strategies and innovations. What do you find the most inspiring Swiss brands?
There are three industries really that come to mind when I think of Switzerland and Swiss business. Of course, there's the banking industry, high finance and wealth management. There's the pharmaceutical industry, which is so important to so many aspects of life and health management around the world. The third, of course, is the watch industry, which I would say perhaps among those that's most iconic is Rolex. And you know, Rolex has such a long history, but it's aspirational for so many people. It is one of those brands that people know is truly luxury, and they aspire to in life. One industry I think that's often overlooked in Switzerland, and actually is fairly important to the economy, is the Swiss automotive industry. So people don't necessarily think of Switzerland when they think of cars or the auto industry, but there are actually over 300 automotive suppliers in Switzerland. And this is really important because the supply base for the auto industry is really bigger in many ways than the automotive OEMs or the brands that we're so familiar with. I drive a Cadillac at home in the United States, but when I live in different countries, I try and buy cars that are closely associated with the countries that I'm living in at that given time. In Switzerland, I haven't bought a car, though, because the public transportation is so good in Zurich. I don't need to, and I enjoy walking. It's such a beautiful city.
As a Hedi-Fritz-Niggli visiting professor, you are a role model for young researchers. What impression do you hope to make on your students?
I would like to encourage students to develop a dream and strive towards that dream, to be brave enough to avail of opportunities and go through open doors, and not to be afraid to fail and to learn from failure and criticism. And finally, I would say work hard and play hard. Networking, etc., that facilitated my life, because other people, and that's why I was saying at the beginning, you know, you need to play hard. What I meant by that is you do need to get out and socialize and talk to people, and that will facilitate your career. Mm-hmm. A percentage of your career is due to your intellectual capacity, but another percentage, probably a big percentage, is due to your capacity to interact and network. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not saying that women have to go out there, or men, and establish clinical research careers or combinations of both. But what I am saying is those who want to, those who are adventurous, those who like a challenge, yes, go for it.
One of the things that I've found as being a woman in the academic community is that there's a lot of flexibility that you don't have in other types of careers. And this affords you the opportunity to have a family, have a great career, and then also be able to build and explore your own intellectual interests through life. It's really, I couldn't say more about what a wonderful way it is to build your life as being an academic.